This right now, what we're going to discuss, it has to do with Australia, but it's not just Australia. It has to do with the entire world. Now, when a Chinese student goes to study overseas, they usually go there with the idea that they're going into an open environment where they can go and learn and perhaps open their minds. They're no longer constricted by the censorship in China because, let's face it, in the Chinese education system, you're not allowed to think outside the box. You have to follow what the professor says. The professor has to follow what the Communist Party says, and he cannot deviate. They have Communist Party members that stay in the universities and in the schools, which monitor the classes and make sure no one steps out of line.
I taught at quite a few universities, and you taught in China as well.
Yeah.
We would have actual Communist Party people that would report to the party room. There's a party room in the universities, so they would sit in your class and take notes and make sure to rat you out if anything happened. And this is in modern times, guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's in modern time. So basically, you're in a very constricted environment. So when Chinese students go to study overseas, they learn about things like Twitter and Facebook and all of these because those are blocked in China. Although a lot of people are aware of them, they don't use them.
No, vast majority.
Yeah, but when you go overseas and you're starting to, integrate or make friends and stuff, you start to learn to use the social media tools that are at your disposal. Just like we in China would have to use WeChat and Weibo and Taobao and all this stuff because you adapt, because that's what works. You can't stick to your own thing because none of your Chinese friends have WhatsApp or whatever. No. You have to use the local stuff. So they go on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all this kind of stuff, and they start to express their ideas and their feelings, and maybe they start to talk about things which they are not authorized to talk about by the Chinese government.
Right.
So what happens is they face a lot of backlash. A lot of people don't understand just how bad it is. So recently, Human Rights Watch has released a little report on what's been going on in Australia. We thought we'd show you a couple of clips. There is a link to the video down below. So take a look. We're going to get ourselves out of here. Please watch just these few little clips. I get back to nothing. And this is just what students have said. Okay, so
despite studying thousands of kilometres away from China, many Chinese and Hong Kong students in Australia are harassed and intimidated into censoring their speech and actions.
I have to censor myself. I come to study in Australia, and still I'm not free.
There were attempts to dox me, and someone leaked the name of the building I was living in.
If you protest against the Chinese Communist Party abroad, they will find people you love to make you pay.
I received a message from a mainland classmate. He was like, "I'm watching you. I support the Hong Kong police." Personally, I felt really scared. I went to see the uni psychologist because I was so stressed. Students were bad-mouthing me, that I was not loyal to the country. When many of your classmates from your ethnic community vocally express just one single voice, you get scared of speaking another voice. I needed to be careful.
I started a Twitter account because I was in Australia. I thought it was safe here. In March 2020, the local police contacted my parents and asked them to come to the police station. They issued an official warning. They said I must shut down my Twitter, stop spreading anti-government messages, and if I don't cooperate, they may charge me with a crime if I ever come back home. I deleted the Twitter account because I'm worried about my parents. There are a lot of students who share the same opinion as me, but they are too afraid to speak out. They are afraid of retaliation.
Yeah, so I experienced that firsthand here in the States, in America. When I went to go, and I've told the story before, but it's important that I tell it again. But when I went to go to the University of Arizona to go and give a speech for the journalism department, and I wanted to show them about my upcoming documentary, which was back then Conquering Southern China. I hadn't moved to the States. It was my first visit to the States, and I was invited by one of the professors to go there. And the Confucius Institute came into the classroom, okay? Now, there were a lot of people waiting, and they were sitting down. They wanted to watch my presentation and hear what I had to say. When the Confucius Institute came in, and they came in with notepads, and a bunch of them, not just, one or two of them, and actually, which I later found out, the leader of the Confucius Institute, the organizer for the Confucius Institute for that university campus, she came in there as well. So you've got the top brass of the Confucius Institute and a bunch of other, I don't know what they are, lackeys, came into the classroom. As soon as they came into the classroom, several of the Chinese students that were there got up and left. And that's because they're being watched. The people that work for the Confucius Institute or the Chinese Students and Scholars Association, the CSSA, not Chinese Students and Scholars Association, it's a thing on most campuses. They keep an eye on people that go to protests, people that, involve themselves in anything that might be seen as against the party. Mm-hmm. So they keep an eye on them. They write down their names. They take photos of them. They report them to the local Confucius Institutes or the CSSAs or whatever, which then in turn usually get reported to the Chinese consulates. I mean, there have been plenty of cases that can prove that this is what happens. And in turn, they get silenced because back in China, their family will be contacted, and I've interviewed somebody that happened to on my channel. Their family will be contacted. They'll be threatened. They'll be told not to do anything like this anymore. And it's really, really disturbing that there's such a huge level of censorship against Chinese students studying abroad in the West. It doesn't matter that this is in Australia, but it's not about Australia. It's about every single country where you've got foreign students, Chinese students studying. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. People are saying your mic's low, so maybe bring it a little closer.
Okay, yeah. Maybe your one's just too high.
No, they're
it's
talking
not
about only you.
Okay.
Only you.
Only you. All right, cool.
But yeah, well said. And I wanted to say to the Chinese students that are studying abroad, I can't say don't be intimidated by the Chinese government. Obviously, you're going to be intimidated by the Chinese government. The thing is, you shouldn't allow that to affect your experience. And I know that there are repercussions for going back home, but if you truly believe in what you're doing, so I'm talking about someone that's already an activist, right? Mm-hmm. You can't self-censor because of this kind of bullying. That goes against the principles of Western freedoms, right?
Right.
So I would say join together, find like-minded people, and don't allow this hive mind mentality to bully you. Now, if we're talking about threats back home, like they're going to arrest you when you get back, that's something I have no bearing. I can't deal with that. I can't do anything about that. What I can say is that don't let a mob mentality in the West of other mainland students that are like ratting you out or say, I'm watching you or don't do this. Don't let that affect you because the law is on your side in the US and in Australia. You can't let people harass you like that, and don't be afraid to reach out to law enforcement if you are being harassed by people like that on the Western soil.
You can reach out to the police. You can reach out to the FBI.
Yeah.
There are many different channels that you can reach out. You can reach out to us as well.
Absolutely.
We're always there to talk to you and try to help you through it. And
100%
keep you anonymous, and because we understand what it's like. And I've interviewed people like this before.
we get a lot of people reaching out
because I understand, and he understands just exactly how much courage it takes if you are a Chinese citizen to have any kind of public opinion which is against the Chinese Communist Party. We understand what's at stake. We understand just how bad it is. We understand that your family is at risk and that your entire future is at risk in China and your extended family. It's not a walk in the park.
No.
And a lot of Americans and other Western people, they just don't take this into account because they're so used to the idea of being able to go out and protest about anything they want. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a hobby for some people. They just, what's happening this week? We're going to protest against the climate. We're going to protest against racism. We're going to protest against nuclear power, whatever. Let's just go have some fun, get some placards, go cause a scene, and that's what we do. Because there are no repercussions.
No.
But in China, it can literally mean putting your family in jail. And it can actually mean, of course, you being put in jail. So just be aware that this kind of intimidation is happening. And shame on the universities for being complicit in this, because they shouldn't allow foreign-controlled institutes like the Confucius Institute to even be in a university in the first place, because it is really there, not for cultural exchange, but to keep an eye on the students, the Chinese students and the local students as well.
Correct.
To make sure that nobody is trying to push an agenda that goes against the CCP.
That's right.
Yeah.